past week, the winds were so bad, this is what I had to drive through. Isn't this crazy? The winds were so strong that it created low visibility situations in a lot of areas and sidelined a lot of trucks driving, not to mention the wildfires going on in California. It was crazy. Every once in a while, you get a load that shifts as you're driving. That's usually because they didn't wrap it properly or stack it properly, and also because they didn't secure it properly. This was on the first pallet up against the front of the trailer, so there was no way to secure this unless they put airbags or strapped it early before putting the rest of the loads in. So when we got to this part of the load, they had one pallet in the middle and they didn't wrap it properly and it all shifted and moved over. And guess who is responsible for this, even though it's not my responsibility? I had to sit there and get another pallet and restack this whole thing. Sometimes you have to deal with the BS of being on the receiving end of other people's shortcomings. That's right, you know what time it is. It's time for Business Bites.
Business Bites.
So this week on Business Bites, it's a very simple concept. It's basically making your own AI music and making a YouTube video. So the music can be anything from classical, jazz, city pop, lo-fi. There's a lot of genres you could tap into. And what a lot of people like doing is to have their YouTube video on with this music running in the background when they're studying, when they're driving, when they're working, when they're trying to sleep, when they're trying to relax. And a lot of people make money with these videos and this music. Now, in terms of video or images, you could start off with static images, a slideshow, a GIF image that repeats itself over and over again, a short clip that repeats itself over and over again, driving like I do, or other random videos or stock footages or stock videos you can get online. Make sure you have the rights to use it. Make sure you give credit where credit is due so you don't get into any legal trouble. And a lot of this can be successful if you know how to market it right. And also if you know how to, promote YouTube videos properly, SEOs, all the, you can look into that stuff yourself. That's a whole nother can of worms. But that is my Business Bites take for this week. I hope it inspires you. I hope it makes you think.
Business Bites.
Yeah, so far this week has been pretty crazy. I started off going to the Phoenix area and the winds kicked in. In Southern California, there was a ton load of fires and the winds were really strong. So a lot of trucks were on the road and in crazy situations because of the wind. They're pulled over to the side, blown away by the wind, tipped over, flipped over, it was crazy. Anyway, so the second day, they pretty much had me sit in Phoenix and I did another local load, but pretty much grounded for that whole day. And then I got a trip up to NorCal and a lot of wind still. As of this recording, what is it? Today is now Friday. And up here in NorCal, the winds have pretty much died down. So it's not too bad. But I had a situation happen this morning where we hear about people that turn the handle on the landing gear and some people get black eyes because their face gets too close and they're spinning that thing so fast that it comes up and hits their face and hits their eye, and depending on your height, if you're a tall person, which I am not, if you're a tall person, usually it's like way, below you, so it doesn't get close to your face. But when you're not as tall like me, you run the risk of that handle flying up and hitting your face if you're not careful. Luckily, for the longest time, I never had that kind of a situation where I hit myself with the handle. But I was in a rush today, and this is one of those warnings where, you kind of have to slow yourself down sometimes. But I was in a rush, and I was spinning that thing fairly quickly because it was a newer trailer, and the handle was, smooth. And so I was spinning. There was something on my right foot. So I was stepping on a small chunk of wood. I guess it must have come from like a pallet or something. I was stepping on that wood and it was bothering me because, when you're turning that landing gear handle, you want to be on even ground. So it bothered me that I was stepping on a piece of wood. So I tilted my body to kick that piece of wood away. And guess what happened? The handle came flying and hit my mouth right here. I got a fat lip right now. And it's not really that fat, but it's a a little bit of a cut there. So another newbie mistake that I made, which for the past year I haven't had, and it's kind of a bummer because now my lip is bothering me. So go figure. Even with a lot of experience now. I'm still making these mistakes once in a while, which is a good reminder for me to slow down, go at a steady pace and be cautious,
We're at the top of Indio, looking down towards that Chiriyaku summit. It is Saturday. It's a beautiful day, but the winds are kind of sporadic still. And they almost had me going home yesterday. Had a little bit of a meltdown, which wasn't good. I normally keep my composure, but kind of freaked out when they took away my last 2 assignments. And then so I talked to the back office today and got everything sorted out. So they're sending me to Phoenix one last time. But which means instead of ending on Saturday night, I'm probably going to be ending midday Sunday. So it is what it is. But this is the scenery of the rest stop on top of Indio. 360 right there. What is going on, my people? It is Saturday night and I'm still working. I am still working here. I am in Phoenix. Well, technically I logged out and had dinner, but I am still here in Phoenix, and hopefully tomorrow they send me home because it is my mom's 80th birthday and we're having a dinner. And yeah, initially they had given me an assignment, and for some reason, well, it was actually 2 assignments, one from Ontario to Phoenix and then Phoenix back to Ontario. So I was happy about that. So I was trying to squeeze in that run as tight as possible so I could hopefully get home by Saturday night. And what ended up happening was that as I was driving to my destination, they removed those 2 assignments from me. And sometimes these things happen. They just removed it and I didn't have an assignment. That would have meant that I was going to end the week with 1,500 miles. And I got completely worked up, while I was driving. It wasn't good. And so normally those things don't get under my skin, but because it was Friday evening and pretty much everybody in the back room had already left for the weekend, yeah, it ended up being kind of like a bummer because I was kind of hanging in limbo with no assignment, and I didn't want to get shut down with like 20 something hours left on my clock for the week and just doing 4 runs and doing a little bit over 1,500 miles. So I talked to overnight services and whatnot, and they couldn't really help me out. And then in the morning, one of the backroom people gave me a load. So I ended up coming to Phoenix. And the bad thing is they didn't give me a return load. So now it's kind of like piecemeal. And now I'm running into Sunday. Mind you, yesterday and today I had, extra time to do more work. But, that's kind of like one of the things that frustrates me is when I have huge gaps of time when I'm not driving. I get it if I'm waiting at a loading dock or, it's part of the assignment where I have to, wait or whatnot. But why is there's a weird light on my face. But when I have to actually wait, you have to clock out and you wait for the next assignment. So you end up doing 6-hour runs once a day for 6 days. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. And this past Wednesday, the wind was so bad in Southern California. A lot of places were shut down. And the fires were raging, and it's weird in January for all these crazy things to be happening, right? That wind was crazy, and a lot of trucks blown over on the side of the road. It wasn't pretty. So anyway, I think our team they wanted to minimize the driving into Southern California, which I get, and so I spent most of Wednesday here in Phoenix. Did 1 local drive, and that was it. That was pretty much it. And then so Thursday, they got me rolling again. I went up all the way near Stockton, French Camp, and then came back down to Merced, came to Ontario, and that's been my week so far. Now I'm here in Phoenix, and hopefully I get to go home tomorrow morning. So it's kind of tricky because a lot of the people, they have to go home to their families too, right? The backroom staff, and so they all take off, and unfortunately, it's hard to get in touch with people that could help, that have the power to help. So I'm waiting until the Sunday morning crew shows up, and hopefully they can get me home. Most likely they will get me home. I don't think there's a problem. I haven't encountered this in a while because everything was pretty smooth for the last few weeks, especially even during the holidays. I was getting good loads and I was going pretty smooth. So, a big chunk of last year, because the department was new and whatnot, we had a lot of hiccups, but a lot of things seemed like they were ironed out. But unfortunately, this week, I was on the receiving end of one of those hiccups. So, it is what it is. It comes with the territory. I got worked up. I got a little bit frustrated, a little bit upset, which is dumb because,
it all works out at the end. It does. And if it doesn't, then then you need to let people know it's not working out. But for me, it's been working out. This past year has been good. I've been blessed. So can't really complain. But anyway, despite the gaps, this week wasn't too bad. I'll probably be ending the week with about 2,200 miles, I think, 2,300 probably around there. So what a lot of people do at these mega carriers is they work until they hit that 1 year mark. They hit the 1 year mark, and then they start looking at other options. And I don't blame them. You should go for your best option. And I think the industry, they're aware, like a lot of these mega carriers, a lot of these companies, they're aware that people do this, and there's a turnover rate at that point. You got to weigh out the pros and cons. I know initially when I started truck driving, I wanted to get to own my own truck as fast as possible. At this point, having been in truck driving for a year, I'm not in that much of a rush. There's a lot of things that people kind of take for granted when they work for a mega carrier. One of those things, you're almost always in a newer truck. It's not like my first truck. I had 450,000 miles, but still, like, there's people out there on the road that drive trucks with 800, 900,000 miles. And they make a living with it. But for the most part, when you're at a mega carrier, most big mega carriers, they rotate their trucks every 2 to 3, 4 years. And so you'll be in a newer, if not a new truck, a lot of the times, and that's a huge plus. Because the older the truck, the bigger the chance that things go wrong or things break down. Now, things like maintenance, blown tires on the side of the road. You know how many blown tires I had last year? I had a lot, and can you imagine every time you have a blown tire, it comes out of your pocket? That all adds up. Other things like being able to put away for retirement, 401k. I know you can do, your own savings in retirement when you have your own when you're your own carrier or you have your own truck. There is a convenience level when somebody's doing all that for you. I know that a lot of the independent operators out there, they spend a lot of time balancing their books, paying out a lot of things, putting aside money. There's many levels and steps to it. It's like it is basically running your own business, and everybody that has had a business in the past, they know that it takes a huge commitment and it takes a lot of hours, little things that other people in big companies would normally take care of for you. You got to take care of everything. Those are some of the things. And another thing too is if I have a sick day, I can ask for a sick day and get paid for that sick day. I mean, it's not as much as I would be getting if I drove that day, but it still adds up. This year, my second year, they're giving me 80 hours of PTO, which is basically 2 weeks of personal time off, which includes my sick days this time. They lumped it together this year. Last year, I had, in the first year, they gave me 3 days of PTO and 1 week of sick time. So that's extra money. Another thing too is the amount of time you spend, looking for loads or getting the loads and things like that. Over here at the mega carrier, you are working with a support team, and it's a team effort. They find the loads for you, and they try to make things work for you. And depending on your team, they're either very good or, you have a lot of stress. So, and I know a lot of people are trying to get high-paying local jobs because they want to go home or they want to stay close to home. Fortunately, I have the luxury of being out on the road and being able to sleep in my truck because my kids are all grown, and the need for me to be home all the time isn't as great as it used to be. So I go home on the weekends and make the most of it. But I think like the other jobs out there, if it's worthwhile, there's still a lot of drivers with a lot of experience looking for better paying jobs. And if it's in high demand, there's going to be a lot of people trying to get those jobs. And if you make the right connections, sometimes you go in through the back door. You go in because so-and-so recommended you, and then you get in, And I know that after this first year, a lot of driving opportunities open up. And I tell people that I talk to, unless it's better than what you got now, there's no reason to leave, really. Some people, they're hasty and they quit before they find something, and then they realize, oh, I had it good. And then you end up shooting yourself in the foot, So it's not good. So just be smart about it. 1 year, a lot of opportunities open up. The second year, even more opportunities. And then third year, a lot more opportunities open up. And if you have a pretty good record, driving record, and you're not hopping from company to company, you could probably get a decent paying job, at a desirable company. Why am I saying all this? Like I said in previous videos, currently at this point in time, there's no reason for me to leave Schneider. It's not a perfect company, but it's really good. For me, it's good. My assessment of my department, the people I work with, and the loads I'm carrying, the deliveries I make, the pickups I make, there was a learning curve, but I got used to it. And clearing as much money as I did last year in my first year, until something really big comes along, you know, there's no reason for me to leave. And it's not just about the money either. It's about a good working atmosphere for yourself, you know, a good rhythm, you know. And so right now I feel like I've got a pretty good rhythm, you know. I remember in the beginning, oh geez, like big chunk of last year, there were a lot more moments where I was stressed out, you know. One, because I was a new driver, and another because a lot of new environments, a lot of things that you have to learn because you're in new locations and they have different way of doing things. They have different rules, and you know, and the amount of times that you feel like you want to explode, you know. If I were to change environments again to another location, you know, you're going to face a lot more of that again, all over again, you know, trying to build relationships all over again, you know. It takes a lot of effort. So for now, I'm staying put. I like it here. And so far, I just can't believe this past year went by so fast. You know, it's already been one whole year. So I will keep you guys posted on how things go week by week, you know, do my best to keep you updated, but, and kind of like talk about also some of the psychology and crazy stuff going on as well. But, yeah. And, you know, thoughts and prayers, especially prayers to the people that are affected by the fires in Southern California. You know, it's people that aren't affected. It seems devastating, you know, but the people that are affected, they're really going to feel that devastation. So hopefully you guys are all safe out there. Wish you guys all the best. God bless you guys. Thank you again for following me on this journey. The whole year of YouTube videos that I've made, like I said, up until this point, I have yet to monetize anything, but I think it's healthy for me to keep making these videos, even though not a ton of you guys watch it. But you know what? I'll keep making these videos and you know, see how far we can go. I don't think it's necessarily has to be about monetizing or making money through these videos. It's more like me sharing my experience and keeping me kind of accountable, and you guys kind of in the ride as somebody who's not in trucking, watching me do the trucking work. Or if you're in trucking, kind of share the experience, right? So peace. And we will catch you next time. Cheers.